following is a live copyrighted presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for RadioLawTalk.com with your host, Frederick Penny, attorney at law. And now, RadioLawTalk.com.
Welcome back to Hour 3 of Radio Law Talk Live, Pacific Standard Time, 9 to noon every Saturday. Tune in or call us at 855-LAW-RADIO. You can go to www.radiolawtalk.com and tune in right there. Click on it and listen to us. Or if you want to listen to the old podcast, you can go back and listen to any of our podcasts. The nice thing about the podcast is they're listed. You can look at the topics, and if there's something you're interested in listening about, go ahead and go back to a year. You can go back to probably 10, 12 months ago and find a podcast you want to listen to. Remember, the important thing as we go through this in Hour 3, anything we discuss is general topics of law. Do not plan your case off our discussion here on Radio Law Talk. Seek legal counsel. Go to our website, and it has the appropriate different disclaimers. So seek an attorney. We are barred in the state of California, except I am Washington, D.C. Barred lawyer, but we do like to talk about all areas of law. We have fun. It's entertaining, and we do talk about the law sometimes. But you know what? Denise and Todd, my co-hosts, all I've got to say is the most things that people stop me a lot and talk to me about Radio Law Talk. I'm shocked that people like, oh no, I listen to you all the time. I'm like, oh really? And without doubt, I have never. I'm trying to think back in the past year since we've been live. I can't remember one time they said, you know what? I loved this topic. Every single time, guess what they say? We love. Finish the story. Finish it.
Case or no case.
That's exactly right. They love case or no case. In fact, this past week, someone brought up case or no case and said, you know what? That last case or no case, it was this and this and this, and they nailed it. This person actually nailed the case or no case. And so we're going to do another case or no case this time so Fred Penny can try to catch up. And then we're going to talk about probably the most important thing right now is this Las Vegas, the mass shooting, the lawsuit, how it's taken a huge twist, how now MGM and its affiliates have flipped and brought a case in federal court, because right now all the cases that have been brought in state court, and that's something we can get into as to jurisdiction, but they're now flipping it to a federal court in Nevada, and a federal court is a little bit different than state courts, and we can get into that a little bit, but on this law that is a very unique 2002 law that came down and discussed whether or not an entity can be liable if there is a mass shooting, something similar to this, or a terrorist act. It's called the Homeland Security Act of 2002 is what the lawsuit that MGM is bringing and dragging all the potential plaintiffs or plaintiffs in.
Just the ones in Nevada. So all
Right.
of the defendants are residents of the state of Nevada. So they didn't do the
outside the state of Nevada people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're just focused on inside the state of Nevada and for those potential plaintiffs
Right.
that were inside of the state of Nevada.
And basically what they're doing is they're trying to act in advance and get this thing thrown out so that people can't bring basically the court's saying you can't bring a lawsuit against MGM and its affiliates for this concert. This is the crazy guy, the Mandalay Bay, that was shooting out of the room in the Mandalay
Paddock.
Bay. Yeah, Paddock is his name. But there's a Homeland Security Act of 2002 that they are trying to use to get out of this case. Now, the interesting thing is, let me tell you, everyone's, there's an issue of what the law is, and then there's political ramifications. I'm not saying I feel bad for MGM, but doggone it, they're fighting for their lives. I mean, if you're going to have 2,500 people suing or more, and for big damages,
for all over the world,
all over the world,
United States at least.
I don't think they have enough insurance, and let me tell you right now that could seriously harm the company, and so they are fighting for their life. And quite frankly, as I reviewed it, and we've studied the actual complaint, we have the actual complaint with us, boy, I think it's a good little loophole that they're trying to get, and I think their lawyers were thinking pretty intelligently. And that's just now the answers from the plaintiffs are all the individuals. A few lawyers had made comments, and they just basically said, "Oh, that's crazy," type of thing.
It's forum shopping.
Yeah,
they're trying to get a particular judge.
But there's no real evidence that they brought out yet. The other side, but it's very well written, and we're going to discuss that. I really think if you want to hear about this, about the shootings and what's going to happen, you got to follow through with us. And then after that, we're going to talk a little bit about the Ohio State sexual abuse case, and if we can get to that, because we got case or no case. We're going to talk most of our time about Las Vegas shootings, and then that. If you want to call in, 855 Law Radio. And talk to us or tweet us at Radio Law Talk. So, case or no case? Let's start rolling it, Cal.
Now it's time to play.
And hopefully I win.
Case or no case.
Okay, let me start it out for you. Now, this is about a Tesco Market Jedi, and is this another one?
Come on, the Supermarket Jedi was a good case or no case.
It's the best I say of all time.
And our present score, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, Denise Dirks has 52 points. Fred Penny has 51 points. Todd Cunin has 53 points. So there's a lot on the line with this particular case or no case. And I take you now to Wisconsin.
Okay.
Where the family of the late comedian Chris Farley is miffed. They're upset, they're ticked off, and they're angry. That's because a bicycle company based in Wisconsin, came out with a fat-tired line of bicycles, a bicycle with great big fat tires, and they called it the Farley line. The family says they're doing so to trade on Chris Farley's image and all that sort of thing. And the Trek Bicycle Company says, well, that may be. But Chris Farley was technically a legal resident of the state of California at the time. You're suing in Wisconsin. You don't have a case. And so I'm going to, there are some other things. Chris Farley died in 1997 from a drug overdose. He was a fat guy, spent most of his time in his early comedic career getting fat, and then spent
pulling up his pants.
Right, pulling up his pants, and then made
living in a van down by the river.
Right, and then made his living as the slobby, fat, funny guy. Like, for example, the
sounds like me.
What was where he played the Chippendale Dancers with Patrick Swayze?
That's that is a Saturday Night Live one. Yeah. That is the best.
Hilarious bit.
Oh my gosh.
So the lawsuit alleges that Farley carefully guarded and policed his brand and rejected overtures from companies that he thought would not properly bring him forward in his life. And this company,
it's Trek?
A company. No, there's another company that's been formed by the Farley family to protect his image.
Okay, what you said it was a Trek.
Trek brand bicycle. Trek. Trek. Big bike company. I was going to use Schwinn, but they're long out of business, as it turns out. So I'll start with you, Mr. Cunin, and ask you, case or no case?
So is the family of Chris Farley suing the bike manufacturer for a big tire that they call the Farley Fat One?
Basically, and they're suing them for $10 million in damage. It's a fat tire line of bikes, and they called it the Farley. They did not, by the way, make a loudmouth bunch of bikes and call it the Roseanne. I'm just saying. I'm sorry. But anyway.
I'm going to stick with my guns here, and I'm going to say no case.
Okay.
No case on this one. I think that and my reasons, there's nothing really remarkable about it in this, and I think you're making this one up, Cal.
Well, I just may be. Mr. Penny, you've got a brief amount of time. Do you want to give us a clue on what you're thinking?
Oh, I'll tell you exactly my answer. No case. Move on. We're going to be right back after this. This is no case because, Cal, you just said $10 million without looking at your screen. No case. We'll be right back to find out what the deal is with case or no case and what Denise says.
All right. Stick around. There's much more Radio Law Talk to come, including the answer on case or no case. That's right after this.
All advertising for legal services on Radio Law Talk are for California legal services only.
Many women have so many clothes in the closet, but then we go to get dressed and find we have nothing to wear. We've all been there. We all want to be comfortable and fashionable at the same time, and it's difficult to find clothing that makes that task effortless. But at Letty & Company, you can find trendy, comfortable clothing that is affordable. Things you'll want to wear every day. Shop with a purpose, online with free shipping. Just go to LETTYandcompany.com. LettyandCompany.com.
Jason Ross back here with Fred Penny, managing attorney from Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. Now, Fred, what type of cases are you dealing with now, and what sets you apart?
Jason, we help people with all types of personal injury cases. We're former insurance company trial lawyers. We understand the other side, which gives us a distinct advantage over our competition. Remember, we don't get paid unless we win.
That's Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers with locations throughout California. For a free consultation, go to pennylawyers.com or give them a call, 1-800-616-4LAW. That's PENNEY lawyers.com.
This is Denise Dirks. We can represent clients in divorce, legal separation, child and spousal support, custody, termination of parental rights, step-parent adoptions, guardianships, and even conservatorship matters. Call 1-877-886-7186 for a consultation.
The law offices of Denise L. Dirks provide family law services in Northern California. When the law affects your family, call 877-886-7186. The family of attorneys at Denise L. Dirks is here to help.
Hi, I'm Frederick Penny of Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. I bet you're tired of hearing lawyer commercials, so just relax and listen to music for a few seconds. When you or a family member has been injured, call 800-616-4LAW or see us at PennyandAssociates.com. See, that wasn't so bad.
Business needs growth to survive, and Accelerate You is in the business of growing your business. Accelerate You gets it. They have sales professionals, real top talent teams. Accelerate You has venture capitalists, and Accelerate You has strategic partners who roll up their sleeves and help you grow your business. It's what they do. They help people in business just like you. In fact, last year, Accelerate You launched 30 successful go-to markets for startup companies. With success like that, you can see why Accelerate You is able to only work with a select group of companies, perhaps yours. If you want to increase revenue for your business, call 916-BETTER-0. That's 916-237-7370. 916-BETTER-0. Come on, grab the phone. Make the call. Accelerate You. 916-BETTER-0. Again, call 916-BETTER-0 for Accelerate You.
Since 1960, Iceberg Drive-In has been a family favorite for not only our famous thick shakes with unlimited delicious flavor combinations, but also our hand-breaded onion rings, delicious fries, and signature fry sauce. The Iceberg Shake Shop is perfect for high-traffic locations such as busy strip malls, recreational amusement centers, or near theaters. We are seeking qualified franchisees in the western United States. You'll have access to not only the popular Iceberg Drive-In name, but also our procedures, buying power, and operations. Plus, receive support dedicated to your success. For more information, email franchise@icebergdrivein.com or visit our website at icebergdrivein.com.
Looking for a full day of fun for the family? You can't beat spending your day or evening at Golfland Sunsplash in Roseville, the premier family entertainment destination for all of Northern California. Pick from one of two adventure-themed 18-hole mini golf courses, then get challenged on our fast car racetrack. Don't miss Golfland's state-of-the-art laser tag arena, laser nights, and over 200 arcade games. The best in family entertainment, now at Golfland Sunsplash in Roseville. Golfland.com.
The attorneys you hear on the panel at RadioLawTalk.com are all licensed to practice law in California. But if you want a lawyer, no matter where you're listening, you can check our website, RadioLawTalk.com. There's a button there that says Talk to a Lawyer. Press it. It's that easy. And of course, we thank you for listening to Radio Law Talk.
So we were talking about the case or no case, and Cal gave a brief overview and what Todd and I answered.
All right, the family of Chris Farley alleges, according to my case or no case, that the Trek Bicycle Company was using Chris Farley, the late Chris Farley's image by having a Farley brand or sub-brand, if you will, model of fat-tired bicycles. And they said that's misappropriating his image. They sued the Trek Bicycle Company for $400. Remember, Farley was in Tommy Boy and Black Sheep, and when he died from a cocaine bingy overdose, weighed 400 pounds at the time. He was definitely a guy who was out of control, but that was his image. That's how he wanted to be. So before we go to Denise, Fred has one more comment on
Well,
the
I think
case.
I've got a comment by a listener, but let's wait till Denise answers because I don't want to influence her.
Denise, case or no case? Okay. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Make sure your mic's on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
I apologize.
You had mentioned that that Trek had said that Chris Farley was from California, and so the case is not rightfully brought in Wisconsin?
Right.
No case.
No case.
Okay, I just want to say this. The individual that tweeted it in said case, or if it's not a case, it should be. There
Is that right? Now, is that someone in the legal profession? Or
No.
It's just someone sending us a tweet. And you can tweet us or you can call us. You can take a guess. So let's see. Those of you who said it was not a case, that's all of you, right?
All of us.
Please raise your hand. And the answer is...
Oh, my gosh.
It was, in fact, a case. And they settled out of court for a substantial amount of money, but undisclosed.
Wow.
So they sued for $10 million, settled out of court.
You know, when you said $10 million, you were looking at us. You weren't looking at. You must have memorized that. Wow, that's an interesting case,
isn't it?
Called the Farley Line Trek. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, Trek is the bicycle line.
Let's look it up. Trek.
Trek responded that much of the case rested on whether Farley was a resident of California, making his name and image subject to California law that governs deceased celebrities' rights of publicity. Trek's lawyers argue that Farley was a resident of Illinois when he died in Chicago from an overdose, and the family said he lived in California where he's protected. So I got that little flip-flop.
Wow.
I apologize.
Okay.
But anyway.
A 2018 Farley Trek bike is $4,799.
Yeah, they're kind of hard to find now.
Yeah, $4,799. Another one is $2,799, $2,399. Wow, these are expensive bikes.
Yeah. And why would you want to ride around on a bike named after a fat guy?
I think the reason is because
they're fat tires.
Yeah, fat tires.
Yeah, the fat tires. I think it's made for. I see you if you look at the Farleys on the Trek. We're doing a shout out, I guess, for Trek. It shows them riding their bike in snow. The big fat tires are probably made so you can kind of ride them in snow a little bit, or at least on a snow type road.
I just thought it was a really fascinating case that somebody would say, don't give publicity to this guy, even though he was in the public light.
Right.
Don't give him publicity. Don't put his name on a bike, even in fun, which were he alive, would probably say, hey, that's pretty funny. I make my life being a fat guy.
He would have said, give me money, too.
He would have said, give me money, because it looks like
a
a false endorsement almost.
Well, that's a good point.
But see, here's the question, though. I mean, let's just back up and talk about this. I think people out there are saying this. Okay, so Farley, it's not like Farley's not it's not a normal name, but it's not an abnormal name. It's kind of
super common.
Yeah, I'd say it's mid-tier. I mean, it's not like Smith or Jones, but it's not a Sulaaki Siniwana, last name. So, where did they get? I would want to look back into their notes, Trek. I would do discovery to see where they came up with that name and why Farley. Why Farley? Is there a Farley, Minnesota, a town, or is it? I don't know, but why did they come up with that name?
Well, I think it's because they're a Wisconsin company. He was born in Wisconsin. It's just, I think
he's like one of the stars for Wisconsin.
Yeah, and they said, we need something for our fat line of bikes. Who's a famous fat guy, but, it's kind of okay in a younger tier of comedians, as opposed to old fat people.
Everybody liked him.
Yeah.
You know what? What's funny, my very favorite Saturday Night Live skit is when Chris Farley and Patrick Swayze are trying out for the Chippendales. And the judges can't decide between Chris Farley and Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, and they're like, you both have good body. What did they say? You both have basically all the good things. They said, but Patrick's got just a little bit better body or something like that. They said, and that was like, oh my god, and it's just so funny. And then when they said that, Chris Farley starts dancing again. They go, no, stop. No, we've already made our decision. He's like,
but there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the Farley bicycle That's
So,
case or no case. No points
skunked.
for
2
anybody.
cases, and we got
Skunked you all.
skunked.
Oh, nice.
Skunked you.
All right, so let's talk about the Mandalay Bay, the shooting that occurred. There's lawsuits that are coming and or been filed, and there's 2 areas of law you have to look at here. The first is people who live in Nevada and people who don't live in Nevada. So the first issue is, and MGM's lawyers are trying to think of a way to protect themselves from being sued. So they brought up this basic lawsuit. Everyone thinks, oh, they're suing him. They kind of are, but they're just naming all the potential plaintiffs as defendants in this federal case so they could stop them from bringing a lawsuit against MGM and or its affiliates in this case.
Right, and what previously happened, people did actually sue, but if you remember in the very beginning, the facts were wrong. The timeline was wrong.
Right.
So when the initial suits came out, they made these allegations, and they had to dismiss them, and they with the intent to refile them with the correct facts, because a lot of misinformation was out.
Yeah, that's called dismissal without prejudice.
Yes.
And so that's what they're doing. So, but now they filed this lawsuit, MGM, and they've listed as defendants all the potential plaintiff or injured parties or families of those who have passed away and or estates. And there are two complaints, and Todd's brought this up.
So there might be more, but
yeah,
we know there was
we know of the
these
2. So the first one is against those people within Nevada that live within the state of Nevada, and it's approximately 45 pages of just listing who they are and allegations. So we're going to talk more about that the whole next half hour. So we'll be right back with Radio Law Talk and the shootings in Las Vegas.
There's more Radio Law Talk to come right here on RadioLawTalk.com and on your favorite radio station.
All advertising for legal services on Radio Law Talk are for California legal services only.
My name is Frederick Penny of Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. I've assembled an excellent team of highly experienced personal injury trial lawyers. We understand the other side, which gives us a distinct advantage over our competition. At Penny & Associates, we will aggressively represent you and your family when someone has been injured in an accident. Remember, we don't get paid unless we win.
For a free initial consultation, go to pennylawyers.com or call 1-800-616-4LAW and ask for Frederick, Stuart, Rob, Kevin, Kent, or Will. That's Frederick Penny at Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers, 1-800-616-4LAW.
This is Denise Sturks. We can represent clients in divorce, legal separation, child and spousal support, custody, termination of parental rights, step-parent adoptions, guardianships, and even conservatorship matters. Call 1-877-886-7186 for a consultation.
The law offices of Denise L. Dirks provide family law services in Northern California. When the law affects your family, call 877-886-7186. The family of attorneys at Denise L. Dirks is here to help.
Hi, I'm Frederick Penny of Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. I bet you're tired of hearing lawyer commercials. So just relax and listen to music for a few seconds. When you or a family member has been injured, call 800-616-4LAW or see us at PennyandAssociates.com. See, that wasn't so bad.
I've got to get my car washed. This dirt, it just won't do. But I don't have no time today. I don't know what I do.
Man, I know this place right down the road. Quick, quack, car wash. Hop inside, let's take a ride and watch this cat and shine. Just come and see, I guarantee your ride will steal the show. Come on, quick, quack, car wash. Don't drive that dirty car. Quick, quack, car wash. They'll have you looking sharp. Come on.
Business needs growth to survive, and Accelerate You is in the business of growing your business. Accelerate You gets it. They have sales professionals, real top talent teams. Accelerate You has venture capitalists, and Accelerate You has strategic partners who roll up their sleeves and help you grow your business. It's what they do. They help people in business just like you. In fact, last year, Accelerate You launched 30 successful go-to markets for startup companies. With success like that, you can see why Accelerate You is able to only work with a select group of companies, perhaps yours. If you want to increase revenue for your business, call 916-BETTER-0. That's 916-237-7370. 916-BETTER-0. Come on, grab the phone. Make the call. Accelerate You. 916-BETTER-0. Again, call 916-BETTER-0 for Accelerate You.
The cost of getting rid of garbage is high, and recycling products is lucrative. If you're a business or know of a business that needs an individual compactor or baler, call Northwest Compacting at 888-201-0911. If you already have an industrial compactor, baler, or shredder and need service, don't forget to call Northwest Compacting at 888-201-0911. Northwest Compacting, your full-service industrial compacting and baling company. Read more about them at northwestcompacting.com.
What makes great jerky? Jerky that's moist, tender, and perfectly seasoned. And if you're looking for moist, tender, flavorful jerky, don't look anywhere else but River City Jerky Works. Only the finest ingredients and top quality meats are used in the preparation of River City Jerky. Do yourself a favor and order your River City Jerky Works jerky by going to their website, rivercityjerkyworks.com. River City Jerky Works. One bite and you'll be hooked. Quite possibly the best jerky on the planet.
The following announcement brought to you by SacramentoLawyer.com.
Finding the right lawyer for your particular needs can be confusing. With all the commercials and listings, and who's to say whether the lawyers there are even any good at what they do? So when you're looking for a lawyer, it makes sense to find someone local with the experience and expertise in that area of the law where you have a need. That's why there is SacramentoLawyer.com.
SacramentoLawyer.com.
At SacramentoLawyer.com, you just browse the site, free, and see the Facebook reviews on the firms you're considering with just a simple mouse click. That way you learn a little bit more about the lawyers there before you start making this critical decision. And there's no pressure. Use the right tool to find the lawyer that's best for you by going to SacramentoLawyer.com.
SacramentoLawyer.com.
That's SacramentoLawyer.com.
Radio Law Talk. I like that show.
And now back to Radio Law Talk. Here are Denise, Todd, and Fred Penny.
So we're talking about the lawsuits that MGM has brought against the potential plaintiffs or injured people or families of those who passed in the Las Vegas shooting. And there are two complaints. Go ahead, Todd. You and Denise were talking about that earlier.
Well, when you sue in federal court, there are sometimes different regulations that you have to have and certain types of defendants that you can name in a lawsuit. And it appears that what the law firm for the MGM grant has done here is they've filed separate lawsuits, at least in the states of, at least as it relates to potential defendants that live in Nevada and California. They've filed separate lawsuits based upon where the potential defendants live. So the complaint that Denise and Fred were looking at was about a 55-page complaint somewhere along in there. And the first 45 pages listed out a bunch of defendants.
About 1,000.
And the thing that they all had in common was that they were all from the state of Nevada. Now, I found a different complaint that had the same causes of action, same language, but it was significantly longer. It's about a 181-page complaint. And the first 800, 900 paragraphs or so all list potential defendants, and they all live in the state of California. Again, filed in federal court in Nevada, but they all have California. I haven't found it, but my guess is if they follow that pattern, there's probably other complaints out there, so that if for all the people that were potential defendants from Arizona, and then all those that might be there from Texas, and wherever people came from, there's probably a separate complaint as it relates to them, because it raises different procedural issues relating to where the defendant is from.
Yeah, and that's called diversity jurisdiction. That's how you get into federal court, because you have people from different states.
Right.
And then the other one for the purely Nevada is it alleges a federal question. In other words, is the liability limited as against these plaintiffs, MGM and its affiliates, due to the Safety Act, which was
2002.
The 2002 Safety Act. This is, for what I know, the first time that this Safety Act has been utilized as a shield mechanism, if you will. And it's a very creative kind of a complaint, I have to say, and I think that the people that did the complaint, the attorneys, did a really good job of really making sense of a pretty difficult safety act. And what happened is that MGM and Mandalay Bay and the venue where the festival was, they hired a contractor who had been specially trained by the Department of Homeland Security, and they had been certified, if you will, for counterterrorism. They can take the right action to try to relieve them terrorist acts from causing injury, and they've been specially trained in essence. When they get these special training, they are considered to be the sellers of that training because they sell their services, and Mandalay Bay and MGM would be considered buyers. And in this act, if it involves weapons of mass destruction and type of terrorist action, it doesn't have to actually be quote unquote terrorists from another country, just have to fall within this definition. Then Mandalay Bay, MGM, the actual contractor, which was CDC, and the venue itself would be able to hide or be defensive and be able to put up that shield from this contractor that was certified.
In essence, they're saying you can't sue us individually or as a corporation because the Act says that your remedy is through some sort of insurance. And it falls within this category. And so if you have any desire to get something back...
It's not that easy.
Yeah. But that would be what Mandalay Bay is trying to say. You can't sue us. This is covered by the Act that says you got to go somewhere else.
Well, yes and no. They actually, in this, say you also can't sue the insurance. They say the same thing. So, by the way, it's CSC. You're right. It's CSC.
Sorry.
That's okay. And here's what the Act says. And this is in their complaint that I've read and detailed. I've really delved into this. It's interesting to me. The first thing that they argue is under the Act, and the Act is the 2002 Homeland Security Act, and it's the Office...
Yeah. Isn't it 6 U.S.C. 442A?
Yep. And the Office of Safety Act Implementation and Science and Technology direct this thing. Isn't that weird? There's so many different departments. But here, the first thing is if it must arise from or relate to an act of mass violence. That's the first thing. The second thing is they're going to, this is what MGM says, the security company provided security at the concert, deploying its services which was certified by the Department of Homeland Security under the Safety Act. And finally, the claims are therefore a result of a loss to CSC as the seller of such certified services. Therefore, they fall under the 2002 Safety Act, and therefore they cannot be sued.
Yeah, there's absolute limitation of liability for persons or entities so certified.
Now, I know this is getting boring, but we don't want to bore you out there, but this is important stuff. So the Act defines terrorism as the following. Number one, something that's unlawful, causes harm to a person, or uses or attempts to use weapons designed or intended to cause mass injury.
And it's limited to in the United States.
Right, or on an airplane that is owned by a United States company. Right, a vessel by the United States or a boat. So they argue this. All those requirements are met. Now, here's the most important thing that I think we discussed, which is where did they get all the information? Because it's fact-based, correct? And we're going to get into this in a second. What they're going to get into is they had a hearing on this. And here's Homeland Security people testifying, and they are taking quotes from their testimony about terrorist acts, and they bring up this incident as a terrorist act.
And they bring up specifically this type of venue as being a targeted by terrorism. And I thought the attorneys did a great job. You have to remember that the investigation revealed that Paddock, that was the serial killer, the murderer in this case, he brought in his van, which he had parked in the hotel garage, 90 pounds of explosives, consisting of 22-pound containers of exploding targets, with 10 one-pound containers of exploding targets, and 20 two 20-pound bags of explosive precursors. Now, these were designed to try to blow up.
I've seen those. They blow up.
They were trying to blow up. He was trying to shoot these tanks, gas tanks, over by the airport to blow up
these people.
Yeah.
So one of the difficulties that I see with they want to rely on this act as saying, look, this act precludes you from suing us. Okay. And one of the difficulties that I see here is a companion law that also kind of came up with this. If you look at the complaint here, and Fred, the definition that you read where it talked about an act meets the requirements of terrorism if it's unlawful, causes harm to the person in the United States, attempts to use or uses weapons designed to cause mass injury. Right. And then at the end of that paragraph, it says, there is no requirement in the statute or regulations of an ideological motive or objective for the attack for it to meet the requirements of the safety attack. So for purposes of this, 6 U.S.C. 444, they don't require that it have to be because we're doing this because we disagree with you politically, we're trying to allege something.
Right.
Then you shift over to a different area of the law where they're talking about certification of terrorist attacks by the Secretary of State.
Right.
Now, in that definition, and this is where you're going to have a problem here, they define, in order for it to be certified, it has to be an act of terrorism, it has to be a violent act that is dangerous to human life, property, or infrastructure, it has to have resulted in damage within the United States or outside the United States if it's on an aircraft carrier, some other vessel. But then the last one is the kicker, where it says, and the act has to have been committed in an individual or individuals acting on behalf of a foreign person or foreign interest as part of an effort to coerce the civilian population of the United States or to influence policy.
Yeah, but that's only if it's certified by the Secretary of...
That's true, but my point here is the defendants in this case are going to look at this and say, we have competing problems here. We need to look at the intent behind this. One of the principles that the court uses is we cannot interpret these if the interpretation would lead to what's called an absurd result. And if you have these competing definitions, it will remain to be seen whether or not this is an absolute protection for the MGM or if the defendants will be able to get around it because of the competition.
I think they'll be able to get around it because that one part that you're citing applies to the Secretary of Homeland Security, specifically on certification. It does not apply to other entities like courts that could find that it's an act of terrorism.
That's why this Radio Law Talk, we can argue both sides. Who knows what's going to be right because it's just starting out. By the way, I didn't know this. He shot incendiary rounds which struck fuel tanks but did not hit the fuel. Therefore, it didn't blow up. So interesting things that this guy was doing. We'll be right back. We're going to talk more about this Las Vegas shooting and the lawsuits right after this.
We're glad you found Radio Law Talk on your favorite radio station or on radiolawtalk.com.
All advertising for legal services on Radio Law Talk are for California legal services only. Business needs growth to survive, and Accelerate You is in the business of growing your business. Accelerate You gets it. They have sales professionals, real top talent teams. Accelerate You has venture capitalists, and Accelerate You has strategic partners who roll up their sleeves and help you grow your business. It's what they do. They help people in business just like you. In fact, last year, Accelerate You launched 30 successful go-to markets for startup companies. With success like that, you can see why Accelerate You is able to only work with a select group of companies, perhaps yours. If you want to increase revenue for your business, call 916-BETTER-0. That's 916-237-7370. 916-BETTER-0. Come on, grab the phone. Make the call. Accelerate You. 916-BETTER-0. Again, call 916-BETTER-0 for Accelerate You.
This is Denise Sturks. We can represent clients in divorce, legal separation, child and spousal support, custody, termination of parental rights, step-parent adoptions, guardianships, and even conservatorship matters. Call 1-877-886-7186 for a consultation.
The law offices of Denise L. Dirks provide family law services in Northern California. When the law affects your family, call 877-886-7186. The family of attorneys at Denise L. Dirks is here to help.
Jason Rosbach here with Fred Penny, managing attorney from Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. Now, Fred, what type of cases are you dealing with now, and what sets you apart?
Jason, we help people with all types of personal injury cases. We're former insurance company trial lawyers. We understand the other side, which gives us a distinct advantage over our competition. Remember, we don't get paid unless we win.
That's Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers with locations throughout California. For a free consultation, go to pennylawyers.com or give them a call, 1-800-616-4LAW. That's PENNEY lawyers.com.
Hi, I'm Frederick Penny of Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. I bet you're tired of hearing lawyer commercials. So just relax and listen to music for a few seconds. When you or a family member has been injured, call 800-616-4LAW or see us at PennyandAssociates.com. See, that wasn't so bad.
Many women have so many clothes in the closet, but then we go to get dressed and find we have nothing to wear. We've all been there. We all want to be comfortable and fashionable at the same time, and it's difficult to find clothing that makes that task effortless. But at Letty & Company, you can find trendy, comfortable clothing that is affordable, things you'll want to wear every day. Shop with a purpose, online with free shipping. Just go to LETTYandcompany.com. LettyandCompany.com.
What makes great jerky? Jerky that's moist, tender, and perfectly seasoned. And if you're looking for moist, tender, flavorful jerky, don't look anywhere else but River City Jerky Works. Only the finest ingredients and top quality meats are used in the preparation of River City Jerky. Do yourself a favor and order your River City Jerky Works jerky by going to their website, rivercityjerkyworks.com. River City Jerky Works. One bite and you'll be hooked. Quite possibly the best jerky on the planet.
I've got to get my car washed. This dirt, it just won't do. But I don't have no time today. I don't know what I do.
Man, I know this place right down the road. Quick, quack, car wash. Hop inside, let's take a ride and watch this cat and shine. Just come and see, I guarantee your ride will steal the show. Come on, quick, quack, car wash. Don't drive that dirty car. Quick, quack, car wash. They'll have you looking sharp. Come on.
Show me the money.
You're listening to RadioLawTalk.com. And now back to your host, Frederick Penny.
So to be technical, Todd was talking about the Terrorism Risk Insurance Act of 2002. Boy, this gets complicated, but there are that maybe some conflicts between the 2002 Homeland Security Act.
And that's where it comes up and it gets difficult, because here on the one hand, you've got the MGM and the CSC, arguably, and all these folks saying, well, we're not liable because the Safety Act protects us. And, oh, by the way, the Safety Act does not require an ideological element for purposes of it to apply. And then you've got this insurance code that I was reading of, which says, and just to quote a portion of it, the United States government should provide temporary financial compensation to insured parties contributing to the stabilization of the United States and economy in a time of national crisis. So the argument is, hey, maybe this insurance should apply, but now the insurance is saying, oh, you, in addition to all those other things that the MGM is saying, now you have to have the political ideology on the part of the shooter in order for insurance to apply. And it may result in people being the darned if you do, darned if you don't, out on a limb, so to speak. And that's where I look at it and I say a court could come in and say, given that these two provisions appear to be closely tied, we cannot interpret this as, if we're looking at the intent behind the legislature in passing on this, we cannot interpret it to lead to what's called an absurd result. The one thing that we do know, a court looking at this, well, the one thing that we do know is that whatever happened out there on that fateful night, it was not the fault of the person that took a bullet. It was not the fault of the person out there that was injured or hurt. And yeah, it remains to be seen.
Well, they
how
have,
they're going to take a look at
they
this.
have to add them. Have to put them in, even though they're defendants. They're technically not defendants. It's not like they're being everything's. Oh, the MGM. What's the headlines? MGM suing the
victims.
injured people. But it's they have to name someone. So all MGM is saying is these people cannot come after us. That's what they're saying.
And the insurance part is easy to be reconciled, because if you're an entity that's getting certified to do counterterrorism and to protect people in these venues from that type of act, then you have to have that insurance, and you have that insurance, but it's not there for strictly non-ideological, ideological. And so the insurance doesn't apply.
But the problem that the defendants have, the victims of the crime or of the incident have, is that CSC is saying we're protected under the act. No, by the way, you can't go after our insurance.
Right. That's exactly what they're saying.
And I think that the reason they may be saying you can't go after the insurance is because they're trying to say there was no ideological thing out there. There was.
It was not like a true terrorism event that the Secretary of Homeland Security would certify as a true terrorism event.
But what they're saying is, what MGM's saying is, that doesn't have to, under the 2002 Act, the Security Act.
That doesn't have to for purposes of safety.
Right.
But it does have to apply for purposes of insurance.
All I got to say is one thing, guys. One thing, right? Guys, as in guys and gals here. Guys generally. If I was a plaintiff's lawyer and the defense lawyers over there in Las Vegas, they'd be smart to be listening to us. Well, this is what they said. Oh, this is Fred, Todd, and Denise said this. Oh, my gosh, Fred, that's a great point. I think plaintiff's lawyers should be sitting there listening to us in Las Vegas going, wow, there's some good – I didn't think of that.
I think that the one thing that we know absolutely out of all of this, and I think we can all agree on this, is that this is going to raise issues that will be heavily litigated, and the people that will come away making a ton of cash are the lawyers arguing on both sides.
That's exactly. No, this will go to I think it goes to the Supreme Court.
Well, I think it's going to go all out to the Supreme Court. But why is it in Nevada? Why there is a federal question about the Safety Act, but there also is another strategy here. If you pull all these potential plaintiffs into Nevada, and they then file suit, then it's going to be joined with this. It's going to be part of it. And what law applies? Nevada law, whether or not it's negligence, whether or not they have some negligence, because it is Nevada, is a forum where it actually occurred. And if you remember, we covered a case last year where it was a liquor store, and there had been muggings and knifings and even a gunshot injury in the parking lot of this liquor store. And the Nevada Supreme Court said the liquor store had no duty to provide security or security cameras in the parking lot.
Well, here's another reason why I believe it could also be in Nevada, and that is probably for something that has nothing to do with the legalities of it, with the elements of the law, or with the fact that it's state law versus federal law and what happens there, but it's this. And we were talking about this at the break. Can you imagine the damage that would occur to the MGM if all of these defenses that they're raising as plaintiffs in a lawsuit, if they don't pan out, and how much money they would have to pay out for all of this?
They may go bankrupt.
And the effect that losing the MGM would have on the economy of the local area, and even though it's federal court with judges that live in the local area. I'll tell you a personal experience that I had. I used to live in Las Vegas. I lived in Las Vegas back in 1999, and I went to church. I went to church with the former Clark County Commissioner. He looked to my left. We looked down there, and there is the chief judge, presiding judge of the district court, federal district court in Nevada, and he's sitting next to Harry Reid. Okay?
Oh.
So these are all folks that are really close. The judge says, hey, let's go tour the courthouse. I go over to the courthouse, and I'll be danged if there isn't a statue out front that looks a lot like the guy who's giving me the tour of it. And they all know each other. They're all close. They don't want to see the economy go. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a vested interest in keeping it there because a federal court in Nevada would have more understand what's at stake more in Nevada than maybe a jurisdiction in California or Wyoming or somewhere else.
A couple of interesting things I want to get to before the end. The first thing is MGM noted down in the complaint, and by the way, number 282 paragraph, that no person that's part of MGM or its affiliates had anything to do with this or a part of this act. I think that's a good thing to make sure, because if all it's got to find is one little person part of it, boom, they're laid in. So they laid it out. But what, Denise, you and I were talking about.
We know about what their part is.
Yeah. You're right. We can get into that.
Yes.
But what's interesting, what you and I were talking about, is the quotes that MGM's lawyers are using from the hearings. I think we need to go over a couple of those quotes. And this is very well laid out. Again, I'm not trying to tout the lawyers on here too much, but they find these great quotes from Homeland Security testifying. This is basically in without exactly saying it, basically saying this is a terrorist act that happened in Nevada. And therefore, all this argument, is it certified as a terrorist act? Should it be a terrorist act? Whatever. Guess what? The congressional testimony on November 30th, 2017, this is paragraph 285 of the complaint, the acting Secretary of Homeland Security noted the emphasis of, quote, terrorists and other violent criminals on attacking soft targets, including recent tragedies in Nevada. Boom. Boom.
Yep, that's
but
good.
But can they participate, the MGM, can they participate without knowingly participating because of all the weapons that the guy snuck up into the room and all of that?
Exactly. That would be my point. And I think that would be Mandalay Bay specifically, because they allowed this person, Paddock, to take rounds and arms and guns and all these different kinds of devices over several days up a non-camera, non-secure elevator that was used for staff, and he took all of that up there. So they whether or not Mandalay Bay has a part in this, that is an issue. I think that's a true issue.
But they're going to argue, still we're covered under this terrorist act. I mean, yeah, but that's a great argument. Okay, terrorist act or not, this is negligence in you not making sure this was stopped.
Exactly.
And this isn't the first time the United States has had to deal with something that happened on U.S. soil that everybody looked at, maybe a layperson would look at and say, this is a terrorist act, that the government was hesitant or reluctant or refused to call a terrorist act. Recall Fort Hood. The Fort Hood massacre where the major shot everybody down.
What about McVeigh?
The government continued to call that a workplace violence incident and never certified it, to the detriment of all of the families there who were not able to get compensation because they didn't recognize it as a terrorist act.
So what they're basically trying to do at the very end of the complaint, they said, look, they want declaratory relief. In other words, the judge to say you can't sue. And what they want to be able to say, this act precludes of finding any liability against them. And that's what they're trying to get the judges to do.
The victims cannot go against the insurance policy.
Next week, we're running out of time. The reason we don't tell you what's going on next week, we're up to date on all the latest. Denise, Todd, myself, and Cal, and Seth, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week, 9 to noon Pacific time.
You have been listening to RadioLawTalk.com, a copyrighted presentation of Radio Law Talk Incorporated.